second edition of the biennial Pan-India Coastal Defence Exercise Sea Vigil 21, conducted on 12th and 13th of January this week, has been successfully completed. Now, the exercise, inaugural edition of which was conducted in 2019, was undertaken along the entire 7,516.6 kilometer coastline, an exclusive economic zone of India, and involved all the 13 coastal states and union territories, along with other maritime stakeholders as well, including the fishing and coastal communities. So we're going to talk about not only this exercise, but also we're going to explore and understand why exactly is coastal security so important and what exactly has been done in the past few years to ensure that no breaches take place there. And to understand more on this particular aspect, we have with us our distinguished panel of guests. Let me first introduce them to you, beginning with Retired Commander Abhijit Singh, who is with us. He's head of the Maritime Policy Initiative in ORF. We are also joined by Mr. Anil Chaudhary, former Secretary Internal Security in the Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India. And we also have Ajay Banerjee with us, Defence Correspondent of the Tribune. Welcome, all of you gentlemen, to Rajya Sabha Television. Let me begin with you, Abhijit, and let's start by understanding and giving a sort of an overview to our viewers as far as coastal security is concerned. What all consists of the coastal security infrastructure, and why is it so important for us?
Vishal, let me at the outset say that these exercises that got over yesterday, this was, I think, one of the biggest efforts in recent years to coordinate our coastal security endeavor. So, as you know, this is the second edition of the Sea Vigil exercises. This time, this was not just about maritime exercises, and certainly a lot of exercises would have been carried out in these 2 days. But this was also, I think, about testing the infrastructure, the NC3IM infrastructure, the critical nodes, and all of that. And so that, in that sense, I think what the focus of these exercises this time, I think, was really to test out the interagency cooperation, the communication networks, etc., to ensure that we have this sort of common operating picture across the maritime domain, across the littoral that surrounds our country. But I think the larger question or the larger issue that needs to be talked about really is the enormous progress that we have made since the 26/11 attacks in 2008, and I think in these 12 years, what we have really witnessed is a revolution in coastal security affairs, if we can put it that way. Right from the time that attack happened, the very year after that, we saw that there was this 3-tier grid that was established. The Marine Police on the innermost layer, followed by the Coast Guard, followed by the Navy. Beyond that, we had coastal radar stations that had been set up. AIS chains came up, the grid that was tested this time. The Coast Guard has been strengthened quite significantly. Just in the past 10 years, I think it has doubled its fleet of assets, and I think now, according to its vision 2025, is looking at really developing a giant-sized fleet, almost 200 ships. Then you look at the joint operation centers that have come up, and the manner in which just the IMAC, which is the Information Management and Analysis Center, how it is managing all of collating all the information, distributing the information, the infrastructure that has come up in terms of marine police stations, and also the fusion center that now has come up. Along with the IMAC, we're also talking about the fusion center, where we have radar stations in AIS chains set up in a number of countries in the Indian Ocean region, and how information from there also is coming in, and how we are sort of developing this common picture for the entire region. So I think what's happened is that we've made significant progress as far as coastal security is concerned. However, let me add a caveat here. 3 years back, I was part of a study that was gaming the maritime domain, and we found out that whilst we had made considerable progress, there were a few areas that were where we needed to make progress. And one was this thing about interagency cooperation. We realized that the information was not flowing as seamlessly as we would like it to. And secondly, the state government somehow remained a bit wary of contributing too much to the coastal security effort. This was still a Coast Guard, a Navy-led effort. And I think what's happened in the past 2 or 3 years since the time we carried out study, that we've seen a correction. We've seen a movement in the correct direction. I think now the states, there's an exercise that we call Sagar Kavach that happens quite often, in which a lot of these state governments take part, their police take part. And I think we are now getting to a place where we have been able to, in some ways, plug some of those gaps, even though I would note that some areas of concern still remain. Thank you.
Okay. We'll talk about those areas of concern there as well, but that's quite an apt sum up. Let me bring in Mr. Anil Chaudhary here as well. Mr. Chaudhary, all of us know that, as far as coastal areas and coastlines are concerned, they're susceptible to criminal activities and anti-national activities as well. And we saw, how 26/11 also happened through the coastal areas only when the terrorists did travel through boats there. So in a nutshell, if you look at the past and the present as well, and the way the infrastructure buildup has happened, how would you assess in terms of the work which has been done and the kind of infrastructure which is there and which is required?
Thank you, Vishal. It's very heartening to listen to Commander Abhijit Singh that a lot of work has been done. I'm aware of it. Well, my mind goes back to the 26/11, November 2008. I was sitting in office, National Technical Research Organization. We were totally shocked and aghast. The entire internal and national security apparatus in our company sat up in shock, deep shock, because, see, we were focused always on our land border with Pakistan. Border fencing, this, that, tunnel, this, that. Our soft underbelly was taken advantage of by the enemy. And they struck so hard and they got in so easily that 170 people were killed by 10 terrorists who came in a larger boat, got in flattened boats. 9 of these attackers were killed. Fortunately, thanks to one head constable of police, of Bombay Police, we were able to nab one alive. And despite Pakistan's initial denials, he came out and said, no, the entire plan was laid out in Pakistan and the launch was made. Now, since then, we have come a long way. That is a night when we didn't have even a strike force. The NSG commandos were flown in next morning, and the naval helicopters hovered around and went back without giving any inputs. Now, I'm told even in the state of Maharashtra, about 19 maritime police stations have come up. Not only come up, they are functional. There is also, there are one was the creation of police station, and there's biometric systems to monitor the movement. You see, a chain is as strong as its weakest link. And in my view, the weakest link in the coastal security are the fishing boats, the fishermen, who sail out and in and out. And they also took the guise of a fishing boat to come inside. But now I'm very happy to learn that each fishing boat has been given a distinctive RFID system, which keeps a track over them and also a distress signal. See, now to prevent attacks, the best way is to collect actionable tactical intelligence. Intelligence comes in 2 genres, human intelligence and technical intelligence. Here, the human intelligence can be provided by these fishermen who are on the sea. If they know what to look out for, they're briefed and debriefed by the operatives, intelligence operatives, they can come. The other thing is technology. Technology was non-existent at that time. A lot of technology has come up. There is image intelligence, there is telecom intelligence, and there's a lot of... See, now I think Commander Abhijit Singh hit the nail on the head. You see the coordination among agencies. There is definitely now three tier of security in place. First, 12 nautical miles, if I'm not mistaken, is the maritime police. Next 12 nautical miles is the Coast Guard and Customs. And beyond that is the Indian Navy. So, but then this calls for excellent ground level coordination, which I think depends on the initiative of the local commanders of the three components. You can sit in Delhi and say, we will set up this and we will set up that and all that on paper. But on the ground, what is happening? And politics also takes a toll. In Tamil Nadu, it is the fishermen going to fish in Sri Lanka side, Tamilian fishermen, they come back. No, they release them. In West Bengal, Bangladeshis come and go. So see, these are the compulsions of ground realities which we have to face. We cannot just feel happy that we got this sport and that sport. That's what I had to say. I'm not a maritime person, but I'm an internal security counter-terrorism who knows a little bit about that. Thank you.
Okay, definitely. You're an expert on that aspect out there, and these two are very closely related when we talk about coastal security, something which was, rightly pointed out by both of you. Let me bring in Ajay Banerjee here as well. Ajay, you also kept a very close watch on not only exercises like Sea Vigil, but also the way this infrastructure buildup has happened over the years after 26/11, and the way both your co-panelists are pointing out here that there are certain areas wherein need to be a lot of focus, but in terms of infrastructure building, we've done a lot. We've come a long way.
Yes, Vishal, we have come a long way. If I remember correctly, when we started off in 2009 after the Mumbai attack, the first step was setting up a chain of coastal radars. The second was setting up automated information systems, identification systems, AIS transponders. Now, these are all along the coast. And by the way, I must inform your viewers, the second phase of the coastal radar, statistics of those is also coming up. So now these systems are being set up. We have set up a satellite called Rukmani up in the sky that keeps an eye on a vast area. Now, all these systems are in place. Now, how do you know that this works? That's the question of this exercise. Does this work? Navy and the Coast Guard keep on testing the system each time by sending in dummy ships. So is it being picked up or no? Is the coastal radar picking it up or no? Is somebody being informed or no? These are systems the Navy and the Coast Guard do. Now, on the larger scale, this exercise brings into focus that these systems work. As Commodore Abhijit pointed out, that the National Command and Control Center was tested in this. The IMAC, which is at Gurgaon, was tested in this. Now, this collates information, disseminates to various platforms. Those platforms are connected seamlessly. There may be a helicopter, there may be a submarine, there may be a warship, there may be a surveillance fixed in plane, or a ground station, say, in any of the coastal areas. Now, these areas have to respond to these inputs coming in from the collation centers. How quickly do they respond? How well do they respond? And is the response correct? These are things this exercise checks out. Now, this exercise is also a stepping stone to the next exercise called the TROPEX. Now, this will be part of a thing which is saying that from peace to conflict. Keep in mind that the sea's 7,500 odd kilometers of coastline is vulnerable, and from peace to conflict means that China is also making its ports in Gwadar. Its assets are being stationed in Gwadar. It regularly patrols the Arabian Sea under the garb of anti-piracy patrols. Pakistan Navy is still fledgling, but Chinese Navy is a threat. And from peace to conflict, when it happens in TROPEX, stepping stone to the Sea Vigil will actually test the system and tell us how good where we are and where do we stand. This was just the second edition of the Sea Vigil. The TROPEX is an ongoing exercise which will incorporate all the inputs of the Sea Vigil and carry out a maximum operational tempo which will lay down where do we stand. Vishal?
Okay, definitely. There is a lot to learn as far as exercises are concerned, and there is a motive, there's a reason, logic behind conducting these exercises to try and test your preparedness. It brings me back to Commander Abhijit here. Commander Abhijit, as you're pointing out earlier, and a point which was, also initiated further by Mr. Chowdhury as well, in terms of the inter-agency cooperation. Also, Mr. Chowdhury pointed out that another key segment of this entire apparatus is the local community, the fishermen are there as well. So it's not only about having the infrastructure from a security perspective, but also involving the local community there, because that is where the key segment here is, and also that impeccable coordination between coastal and the offshore security elements.
That is a very relevant point, Vishal, I have to say. coastal security generally is really about the 3 C's, as they say. You need cover, you need effective communication, and you need coordination between all of these, agencies, as has been pointed out. But the important thing is this, that it's actually not 3 C's, but it is a 3CI, which also means intelligence. And in the case of intelligence, human intelligence is critical. And so, as Mr. Chaudhary was pointing out, you see what happened after the 2008 attacks, and actually a few years after that, is that we began to co-opt the fishing community. So we said that the fishing community will be the ears and eyes of the security agencies. We began to install AIS systems on the boats. Now there's RFIDs, of course, transponders, etc. But there's a problem there. The problem is that a lot of these fishermen are actually reluctant to install some of this equipment on their boats. And that's because what happens is that some of these fishermen on occasions are getting into areas that they shouldn't be getting into. They think that the authorities are keeping an eye on what they are doing at sea. So the coastal community leaders are sometimes not very keen, especially in Maharashtra, to be, co-opted as eyes and ears of the security agencies. Mm-hmm. So that's one issue. The second issue, which is really more important, is that you see, in recent years, there has been this endeavor on the part of state governments to somehow divert this responsibility to the central government. So there has been a proposal a few years back, to the proposal that let's make a central marine police force. Now that, according to a lot of practitioners that I spoke with when I did the study 2 or 3 years back, is not such a good proposal. Because you see, the state police has a great hold over these coastal communities. Mm-hmm. And the state police has great intelligence